Um, I have a quick follow up. I'm glad you brought up uranium, like, because I should be getting more excited, but like, there's actually there's a really fun way to look into this. So I made a video a little while ago on 1,000 baggers, which actually exists. If you haven't heard of like about that before, like you could have made 1,000 times your money. But the most fun company to look at right now is Paladin Energy. Well, not fun for
Yep.
them, but still fun to look at. And if you what you need to do is go to, and the easiest way is just go to like Yahoo Finance and you put in pdn.ax, and I'm looking at it right now, and it's crazy. I mean, this thing, not only did it go up 1,000 times, and like exactly for the supply and demand characteristics Fabby just mentioned, but it might be going into bankruptcy soon, and like they are still producing even though they're not making money. They're on record. So we went up 1,000 times, and it basically came back down, almost to the same level, and that is a perfect representation of the uranium market. Oh, not perfect,
Yep.
perfect, because 2011 it came back a little bit, but you can even kind of see that in the chart. And so if that thing goes bankrupt, that's even stronger signal. If they actually eventually take the supply off, like you're going to see uranium come back up. So we're not sure when it's going to happen, but like Fabi said, it is inevitable. It's just a matter of figuring it out. And I also just wanted to add, whether it's gold, uranium, or whatever else, I actually think supply is extra crucial to look at, because most of the analysts you'll read about, they always talk about demand. Demand is much more fickle, and it is important, but supply is far more important. I mean, if you're cutting off supply, even if demand comes down, like you're probably still going to see a positive. It's kind of like going from bad to less bad. Like I've heard that commentary, and that's like, so if you're new, try to pay more attention to supply than demand, because even a lot of people in the industry, they weigh demand more than supply, and it really should be the other way around.
So with where the markets are going right now, do you guys mind sharing what your favorite commodity is at the moment, and if you could share your top picks?
I'll be the first one to say I like zinc from sort of running out of warehouse stocks supplies and higher demand, higher prices. But I don't have a particular pick for zinc yet. This is something I'm still in the early stages of starting to research. I hope I don't run out of time, because I've heard that zinc bull markets are very short. So I hope I can get in on something before it really hits a blow off top.
Well, I'm glad you brought up zinc, just because that is a supply story, and they're excellent documents on co.ca. I think the name is like Octillo Redux. There's a zinc panel in there. I mean, I need to look at that. I mean, that is like the authority. I mean, I probably shouldn't say his name just because I know who it is. But like you can figure this out like for free. That zinc looks great. With that said, I'm not as positive on zinc. Kind of, it's weird. It's just like again, it's kind of this like obsession type thing. Like, I mean, there are definitely, like, that shows that there are people that understand zinc, and I think there is money to be made. But when we look at both supply and demand, I can't get away from gold. I will give you the simplest reason. Central banks need gold. Like, and I tell you, most people do not use that as the number one reason. That is my number one reason, bar none. They do not want Bitcoin. They don't want silver. They don't want this other stuff that people constantly say is like Canadian gold. They don't tell you when central banks want Bitcoin. I will pay attention. Like we can get into that, but they want gold, and they are going to get a lot of gold. And so gold might not be the best in any one way, but for me, it's easily the highest conviction. And to what Fabi said, we need more supply. And like, I just realized, people still don't look at these little explorers. So I'm kind of stubborn and kind of boring, with this answer. But like, my best picks, they're kind of floating around. Sarama Resources is still my number one. I really like Alicanto in Guyana because it's got huge potential, and those are my two largest holdings. I mean, it's simple, and they're way bigger than other stuff I own. But I am really interested in this Orca Gold, and I've got my videos on that. So there's nothing really new there. But I will tell you, in terms of other stuff I'm looking at, I'm still looking more for these sub 10 million, maybe even sub 5 million market cap gold explorers, and I'm still trying. There's a tendency to find more stuff on the ASX and the TSXV. So I'm still looking more for these, trying to be exchange agnostic, and I feel like there might be more that keep popping up. So it's not necessarily the best thing out there. But for me, yeah, I'm still sticking with it. I still see, a lot of cheap deals, and I'm positive on, gold for the rest of this decade.
Yeah, and just to quickly illustrate, when we talk about supply being on the short side for gold, if we bring it back to really, primary school level thinking, nowadays, if you have something like 10 grams per ton grade, that's considered very good, as long as it's extractable. But if you think about it, really, like 10 grams is actually nothing. If you imagine just little dots of gold in the palm of your hand, is something that you could easily drop and not even notice it, right? And then you have to imagine that that's per ton of like dirt. Like a ton of dirt is quite a bit, it's quite a bit of dirt. And then out of that, you can only get 10 grams. And when somebody comes out with like a 10 grams per ton, it's like, whoa, this is good. Let's look into it, like how much of it is there? And it's sort of head scratching because like that's nothing. That's how difficult it is to get gold out of the ground. And it takes, 10 years from discovery to actually have a bar of gold in your hand, if that at all. And that's only what, 1 in 3,000 projects. I mean, when you look at that, it's like, okay, there might be a supply crunch in the future down the road at some point, just maybe. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but I watched a couple of documentaries on how they actually extract and pour out a bar of gold or silver. And I think it was the silver one that I was watching, and that in and of itself was extremely complicated and extremely cost consuming, and it was just so much work to get a little tiny bit of silver that you could see with your eyes. And it just makes me think, I think we're onto something here, because this is not like bananas that you can just plant in your garden and have plenty of it.
Oh, I'll add a really quick point. I think, a huge reason there's this supply opportunity, or, there's so lack of supply, is that there haven't been technological improvements in general in mining in the same way there has been in oil. And a lot of people were kind of comparing oil and gold for a while. Actually, both on a supply and demand, gold is better than oil. I guarantee you 2 years ago, people thought they were the same, but like, this is where like I've completely moved away from oil. I was kind of, interested in some offshore exploration for a while, but there is a chance that there could be some breakthrough, technological improvement in the next few years. Like, don't rule that out. Like, it hasn't happened, but there hasn't really been much since the 80s. I think heap leaching was one of the last big ones, and that was, from the early 80s. So we're talking like over 30 years since like there's been a major improvement in mining. So as speculators, we kind of don't want there to be that improvement, because it means that, we'll probably make more money, unless you're actually betting on the technology companies. And there's always people out there saying they have some new tech. But, as long as that doesn't change, it is a guarantee it's going to just continue to be harder and harder to get this stuff out. And to Fabi's point, metallurgy is something that's very complex, and a lot of people who are good geologists, they don't understand anything about metallurgy. It's like a totally different specialty. And that's where a lot of these big costs come in. If there was some breakthrough in metallurgy, that could be the big game changer in the next few years. And I would have to reevaluate, that would be an example of something that's such a game changer that people stop caring about taking these big geopolitical risks. And it's a step function in improvement, lower costs for getting gold out of, Canadian, U.S. projects. So I just want to throw that out there. Like, things could change, but there's no reason to believe it will change in the next few years. So like that's been one of the big things that has made it so hard to find good stuff in mining, is the lack of technological innovation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a quick comment about this. You know that people are desperate and we're sort of running out of gold, quote unquote, when people are talking about mining for gold on like asteroids and going, out of space to mine for gold. When I hear that, I'm like, wow, we're really in a pickle if we think that going out to space to extract gold, which is complicated enough as it is right here on Earth, might be a viable option, which I don't believe in, at least not right now. But it shows. Go for it.
What would be the all-in sustaining cost on that?
Exactly. Like, what would be the capex on that alone? And how would you go about, just I can't even wrap my head around it. I can't even begin to fathom. I mean, go into the forest of any country and see how difficult it is to extract gold, out of the ground. And then you compare it to outer space. It's just I just
Oh,
can't really
oh,
imagine
this
it.
is so funny. I wasn't sure if I had access to it because this is literally today. This is a Financial Times article, but I'm so glad you mentioned this. So the headline is Winklevoss twins see Bitcoin as better than gold, and there is a section in here where they actually say because the number of potential Bitcoins in existence is capped at 21 million, the brothers see its finite nature as invaluable given the emergence of asteroid mining technology that could reduce the scarcity of gold and dilute its value. That is total nonsense. I mean, these guys are selling themselves. That's I can't believe that came out today. I mean, these guys might be smart, but that is absolute nonsense. They're selling their Bitcoin ETF book. That
Yeah.
is not happening. Do not trust anything in that article, but it's hilarious that they actually try to use that as a legitimate reason. So I thought that was funny.